Hey everybody, back in my garage to do another modification to my 2024 Nissan Z Nismo. If you haven't already, please subscribe because I'm going to be shotgunning out modifications here in the next week. I've got a bunch of stuff on order that is hopefully going to be received this week. If you haven't watched my other video on the cold air intake install, that is out there as well. This one today is going to be a little bit, or I should say a lot milder install. This is a Catback exhaust. There are lots of different versions out there depending on your taste. What I would have picked in my 20s isn't what I would have picked in my 30s, isn't what I would have picked now in my 40s. So the one I decided to go with is a lot milder, deeper tone sound. It's made by Remark. A couple of things that were very important to me were that it was a true catback, first of all, not an axleback. And secondly, that it was 3-inch piping. That way, if I ever got to the power needs of a 3-inch, I wouldn't have to revert back. That's one thing I've learned modding my Nissan Zs over the years is do it the way you're gonna plan on doing it 10 years from now the first time around, or otherwise you're gonna spend double, triple, if not quadruple the money to do it. So that was very important to me. Build quality, and then probably most importantly is like aesthetics, how it looks coming out of the back here of the exhaust, and then the sound was super important to me as well. So again, lots of choices out there. Those were the things that met my needs. The install would apply across whatever you did. If you did the Nismo Track, or if you did the Nismo Street, if you did a titanium catback, they would all, this install would apply to all of them. And it's pretty basic, but for someone who's never done a catback install or never done exhaust work, hopefully this helps them out. And if you are not new to it, but maybe are new to the Nissan Z and you want to know all the mounting points, hopefully this will help you out too. So just a quick overview. This one, the Nissan Z, is I think particularly easy, at least in my opinion, so far just looking at it install wise, because there's a lot of brakes. Some exhausts that I've done for myself or for friends, a lot of these are just one whole piece, and it makes it really hard to get in there and remove stuff, at least by yourself or without a stand, because you're having to lift and mount everything at once. So the best way I've seen to attack this so far is I probably will attack it front, so nose of the car to the rear. I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect all these bolts. So there are 4 here, 2 here, just above the, I don't know what you would call that, mid pipes or drones. These are not, I don't believe these are cats. No, they're not, they wouldn't be cats this far back. And then another 4 up here. Here are the cats. And I believe on this one, there's a lower portion and an upper portion. The lower portion seems to be pretty easy to get to, and that's what most people replace. I still plan on retaining the factory warranty, at least for now. So I won't be touching any of that pre-cat area. But looking at it, the lowers look pretty simple. The uppers, I hear, are a super pain in the ass. So again, 2 here, 1 here. This is kind of definitely the choke point of the exhaust right here. I hear this is 175 inside diameter, so this can't be, maybe 2 at the most. So 175 into 2. So that's a really big restriction right there. And then again 4 here. So I'll go ahead and take those off and then shoot some along the way and let you know how it's going. So one thing I'm noticing, which is really cool, that I'm not used to, these are actually stud bolts. So it's just a 14 on this side to remove it. I also wanted to point out too, I have a lift, but I've done decades of ground Catback installs. This one is definitely one that you could do on the ground. Make sure you have your jack stand super secure, and make sure the car is secure, parking brakes on, all that kind of good stuff. But this is definitely one you could tackle on the ground. There are some that I have worked with on the ground that I would have said, let's not do it on the ground. It's got to be a lift scenario. I don't think for the Z that's the case. You could definitely get to all these bolts from the side, and you could jack the car up enough. One thing that I'm not sure anyone's shown in the videos, but with the Nismo side skirts, they do sit down a little bit lower. Your jack points here have these little divots on each side. I'm not sure I've seen that. I was looking for jack point information in the owner's manual and didn't find it with my quick overview. But just know, if you have the Nismo, none of this is jackable. You will totally mess up your side skirts if you put like what I would assume looking underneath the car look like a jack point, but this is all just plastic. So make sure if you do jack the car that you hit it on the frame jack points here, the ones with the little notches. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these front 6 studs to remove this center white pipe. Just a quick update. After taking a look at the system, because these are studs, you have to start from the rear. So I was going to start from the front. That's usually what I do. But because Nissan put studs here, it only makes sense to start from the rear, so you can disassemble it kind of like a puzzle. So I've gotten all of them loose, but I have these 2 off here. I'm going to remove, there's 3 nuts here that hold this bracket. Let's see if I can see that a little better. There you go. 3 nuts here that can remove that bracket. That is a 12 right here. So I'm going to break and remove these 3 12s on that side, 3 12s on that side, and that will actually take the entire hanger with it, which I think is going to be the easier install, because the hanger points towards the front of the car, which would be very difficult to remove. So I'm going to remove the bracket from each side and then remove this piece. All right, so I got the rear axle back section removed, and here are those hangers I was talking about here. So those just mount up to the underbody of the car. I'll remove those and put them on the next section. That's probably the most difficult part of the install, I would think so far. This only has 3,100 miles, so you know, I've worked on Z's with 150,000 miles, and the bolts are a whole heck of a lot harder to get off, and what you think will be an hour or 2 hour job ends up being an all-day job. But this is not the case. So just depending, your mileage may vary on level of difficulty, obviously, but yeah, these are, none of them are seized and are in good condition, so it's definitely a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this next midsection to the axle back part next. It's only holding on here by these 2 bolts, and then these 2 hangers right here. And I found the easiest way to remove these hangers. They do make a Harbor Freight may carry it. They do make like an exhaust removal tool. I always tell myself I'm going to pick one up, and I never have. But I use this grommet removal tool that is in my trim removal kit, and it tends to work pretty well. I don't know how much difficulty I'll have with this one, but I can stick it in there and then this spans it open to pull it out. These are still pretty malleable. When these get through hundreds and thousands of heat cycles, they are even harder to get off, and you want to lube them up first. But since this one's still pretty new, low mileage, they should be not that bad to get off. One tip I wanted to point out for you guys, especially if you're doing this on the ground, you can either put a strap or a bungee here so that when you remove these hangers and the front two bolts, it all just doesn't come crashing down on you, especially if you're doing it solo. If you got an extra pair of hands, you can work without it, but if you're running it solo, I love to just put a bungee cord anywhere you can attach it where it holds some weight, so that when I disconnect these or disconnect this part here, this bracket hanger, that it doesn't just fall on top of me. So just a quick little tip there. All right, I got the second middle section off here with the, I was blanking the name earlier, but resonators there. Even though these are new, these exhaust hangers, the rubber gasket exhaust hangers, they're still pretty much, you know, a good pain to take off. So I would suggest, especially if you're doing this on the ground, go grab from Harbor Freight or Amazon exhaust hanger removal kit. Again, I used my handy dandy trim removal piece here, but it's not ideal. Took me a couple minutes, you know, wrestling with it to get it off. And the ones that are meant for exhaust are a whole lot larger. They have more leverage, so you'll probably have a lot easier time. That middle section is extremely heavy, so I'm excited to see. Another reason I went with the Remark exhaust was I think it's 31 pounds lighter than stock. So that'll be a nice little weight savings right there. But yeah, those two resonators in that center section is extremely heavy. So again, make sure you have either a bungee cord, you can use a truck strap, or a friend for when you disconnect that hanger, it doesn't hit you in the head. And then last here is the portion that connects to the lower cats, the Y pipe. Not nearly as heavy, easily manageable by one person, and came off pretty easy. Nothing to avoid in the bay. Lots of room to work. That's why I was saying you could hit the front here from the side if you're doing it on the ground. Next, let's unbox the Remark and set it up side by side and see how it compares. Thought I would just show a clip of this. This is, I believe, straight drops from Remark. The packaging is outstanding. They've put foam and bubbles wherever could have the possibility to get scratched or damaged. Good job on Remark. This is one of the better packaging jobs I've seen for exhaust. Most companies are like, oh, it's exhaust, you know, it's gonna get dinged up anyways. Let's not take the extra steps to make sure that it looks good on delivery. So I just wanted to call that out, just because I've seen a lot that are, you know, just the thin foam paper in a box, taped up in a box. They did a great job packaging these up. All right, I got them all unboxed. Just a couple things I wanted to point out that I thought was pretty cool. So first of all, the welds for the price point of this exhaust, in my opinion, are phenomenal. They are really good welds for, again, the price point of the Remark. I got this Remark from Concept Z. They sell all the pieces. This is 3 different orders of pieces. Yeah, just super high quality. The mandrel bends look all really good. The welds look phenomenal. Even on the resonators, they put the connection part of the resonator to the underbody of the car, so you don't see that. You wouldn't see that from underneath. Really, really good quality. You can see compared to the OEM how much bigger they are too. Just a really good size compared to the super restrictive OEM performance automatic and Nismo exhaust here. So yeah, great. I'm going to again, just in reverse order, start at the front where the cats are and move my way back. All right, most of the exhausts that I've seen, and including Remark, they include new gaskets. There are a couple different sizes in the Remark kit just because it does connect to either the stock downpipes or aftermarket downpipes, so just make sure to use the right ones. They won't fit in there if they're not correct. Yeah, very nice looking gasket as opposed to the OEM, which is just a kind of flat sheet metal. So put those on there again. If the first package you open doesn't fit, just throw on the another set and it should fit. Again, I think one's for the inside, one's for connecting to OEM, and one's for connecting to aftermarket 3-inch. All right, I've got the white pipe on, and again, use a strap or something. There is no hangers on this white pipe section, so I just took my bungee, wrapped it around the rear axle, or not, sorry, rear axle, drivetrain there. If you do that, just make sure you remove it before you drive it. But yeah, it's a good spot. It's holding it up where I need it right now, and it's not putting extra undue pressure on the lower and upper downpipe. All right, I got it finished up. Put the hangers back on the new exhaust with the bracket, bolted the bracket in. I just lightly screwed these in and then slightly put the bolts in here just to make sure it was all aligned before I tighten it all together. So that's a tip, just to make sure everything's pointed correctly. For the big reveal, I went with the burnt tips. I love the look. They seem to fit perfect in the housing. No alignment issues, so I just can't say enough good things about Remark. This is my first exhaust by them, and so far with install has been super easy. Quality has been amazing. Yeah, just really good. If you do buy all 3 pieces, you're gonna get probably 2 extra packs of bolts and gaskets, so you can save those for another project, or if you want to renew. But they do give you extras because they assume when they ship it you might only be doing 1 or 2 pieces, and they don't want to leave you out a new gasket and make you reuse the old. So yeah, really good install. I would rate this probably a 5 out of 10. Extremely easy. You know, your mileage may vary. If you are doing it on the ground, it may be a little harder. One pro tip that I forgot about, and I don't know if you should be using some other type of grease or whatever, but I do spray a little bit of WD-40, and I'm talking a very minute amount onto the rubber hangers, and they do slide off a whole lot easier. Again, don't coat it. WD-40 is very bad for your paint, so I've done this away from the car, and again, just a very small amount. You know, a millisecond spray goes a long way, but it will help take those rubber gaskets right off, especially if you have the car up on jacks. It's going to make it a lot easier. So there we go. Only thing left to do now is clean up, do a cold startup, and I'm going to put the GoPro on a bracket on the back and do some pulls for you guys so you can hear how it sounds. But yeah, easy install so far. It's just a good quality exhaust for the price point. Yeah, I haven't found any complaints. Everything aligned perfectly with it. And oh, one thing I will say is I did Concept Z did this install on a yellow Performance, and the tips did stick out a little bit. With the Nismo bumper, they are in a little bit. So just know, if you're looking at exhaust, if you haven't seen it on a Nismo, it is going to be a little different because the Nismo is wider in the rear. I don't mind it too much. I wish it was more flush here with the bumper, but it's just still a beautiful exhaust. And yeah, good stuff. So we'll do a cold start, and after I clean up, and then I'll strap the GoPro to the car, and we'll do some pulls, and you guys can hear how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.